What's up, everybody? It's your girl here, Miss Elizabeth, and guys, welcome back to my YouTube video. We are back with another bang. And guys, on today's video, we are going to be talking about something sensitive. We are going to talk about cancer. Yes, cancer. Like, I know cancer ni topic refu, and we can't just finish it with one episode. So I'll try as much as possible to do so many episodes on different types of cancers so that we can understand. And guys, today I have a visitor, like them. So you know me, I don't know anything about cancer. So I invited a guest here at Weweleze, like a daktari. By the way, he's called Dr. Rogers. Guys, you can't miss this one. Kindly hit that subscription button, and without any further ado, let's get into the video.
Yetu sasa ndo inabamba mama, yetu sasa ndo inabamba daddy. The way you make me feel, what I love, wanna tell you why I love you this much.
So I want to introduce Dr. Rogers to you guys. Daktari,
how are you?
I'm fine.
I'm very fine. Thank you very much for hosting me to this forum today. I appreciate.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Kindly we introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, Miss Elizabeth. My name is Dr. Rogers, and I'm here today in this particular forum to share with you some little knowledge about cancer. Though it's a big topic, it's a wide topic, but at least we are going to keep on learning because it's all about learning each and every day. And please, guys, always remember to hit that subscribe button. You like, follow, share, and subscribe.
Yes. Like mnangoja nini after that intro? Kindly hit that subscription button. And to my new subscribers, welcome. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that anytime I upload any new video, you'll be among the first people who will be notified. So guys, see, we get into the video. So Daktari, I want to ask you a question. Like we are talking about cancer. Can you try to explain to us what cancer is? Because mtu unasikia tu anasema cancer, akona cancer. Can you try to explain to us like what is cancer? What ni nini inasababisha kuwa na cancer? Or just explain us in briefly what cancer is.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Elizabeth, for this opportunity. I truly appreciate. Now, when we are talking about cancer, you see, cancer ni ugonjwa wa saratani, kwa wale ambao wanataka tuongee kwa Kiswahili kidogo. So, cancer ni ugonjwa wa saratani, and when we are talking about cancer here, we are talking about a group of diseases which is normally characterized by some of the uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells in the body.
Yeah.
Remember now, the normal cells are the ones we are intending to be able to continue with the normal running of the body or the normal running of the system. Anytime we're having what we call abnormal cells, these abnormal cells, whenever they are growing uncontrollably, they are the ones now which are taken to be either cancerous, if they tend to metastasize, or if they tend to spread into a wider angle. So they contribute to that particular cancer, and it depends with the type of the cancer that we are going to tackle as we proceed with our interviews.
Wow. And Daktari, at least now we've known what cancer is. So I want you to tell us the causes of cancer. As in, ni nini inasababisha ukuwe na cancer? Ama usikie mtu amepatwa na saratani. Nini inasababisha ukuwe na cancer?
Well, thank you very much, Miss Elizabeth. So when we are talking about the causes of cancer here now, we are specifically focused on what might be contributing to that factor. Yani, ni nini ambayo inaweza changia wewe kupata cancer. So one of the factors, I normally categorize them as three because it depends with the type of cancer that one is getting and the severity of that particular kind of cancer. So I normally categorize them into three. And one, we are having what we call genetic factors. And by genetic factors here, I mean we are talking about whether it is an inherited condition. This one is normally passed, yani inatoka kutoka kwa mzazi kuja kwa mtoto, the offspring and so forth. So it is a generational thing. That is what I mean by genetic factors. Yes.
So mtu anaweza pata cancer because of the family background, because it runs in the blood.
Yeah, we normally call it because of the family history. So if your family history maybe had a particular type of cancer, it is not necessarily that you will get that particular cancer, but it depends. It increases your chances of getting cancer because it is normally passed from the mother to the offspring, and it normally runs in that particular generation. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if your mother has cancer, then your kids will have cancer. No, but it increases a particular chance to a particular percentage.
Yeah.
Now, a second point, as another cause of cancer, we are having what we call environmental factors. And by environmental factors here, I mean when we are having more of exposures to the smoke, more of exposures to the tobacco, even guys who are smoking, guys who are taking tobacco, and when you're having exposures to some of this UV radiation, that is the ultraviolet radiation rays, they're also a contributor, or they also lead to some types of cancers. But then they are not limited to, but then at some point also they lead to this particular cancer. So whenever we are trying to tend to avoid this particular kind of rays, this particular kind of radiations, or we are told to avoid smoking, at least it's for your own good health, because it is a contributor to you getting that particular cancer. That is my point number 2. And then lastly, like I said, I'm going to categorize them into 3. Lastly, we are having what we call lifestyle factors. And by lifestyle factors here, I mean we are having the diet and also the physical exercise or the physical activity. So you also have to check on the diet that you are taking, because some kind of diets, we're going to explain them as we proceed, but some kind of diets are also a contributor to these types of cancers. And also, if you're just not that guy or that kind of a person who will be doing physical exercises, activity, you're also increasing your risk or your chances of acquiring some of these types of cancers.
So, Doctor, you're trying to say like it is important to like exercise?
Yes, exercise is very important.
Because of the diet?
Yes, because of whatever you are taking. Maybe you'll be taking some of, we call them the junky foods, you are taking some of the more fatty foods, and you are just relaxing, you are not going for exercises, you are just walking from your house to your car, then your car to work, then work to your house, then you are trying to increase your chances of acquiring this kind of types of cancers.
Wow, guys, hebu tuanze to exercise in order tusipate this thing called cancer, because it's not that it's sweet, So, Doctor, I want to ask you something else. We have seen tumeongelea what cancer is, the causes, and now I want us to look at the symptoms. As in, what are the symptoms? Like you can come to conclusion like these are the symptoms that I have cancer.
Well, when we are talking about now the symptoms of cancers, for the benefit of our viewers, the symptoms now here, we are trying to talk about ni nini ambacho ukijisikiza ama ukiangalia unaweza sema kwamba huenda ukawa una cancer ama huenda ukawa hauna cancer. For example, if you might be having some malaria, then diarrhea, vomiting, those are some of fever, those are some of the symptoms. Now I'm trying to explain now the meaning of that particular word, symptoms. Now, particularly in cancer, the symptoms will tend to vary. They will tend to vary because of 2 factors. They will tend to vary because of 1, the type of that particular cancer, and 2, the stage. Because as you progress from stage 1 up to stage 4, that is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and up to stage 4, the symptoms will tend to vary. And also the type of that particular cancer will also tend to vary. For example, blood cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, colorectal cancer, and all that, symptoms will tend to vary slightly. But now they are not limited to what I'm going to explain shortly. For example, weight loss. Weight loss is one of the symptoms of cancer. But that one doesn't mean that whenever you are having weight loss, your weight, you are losing on your weight, that it doesn't qualify that you are suffering from cancer. You have to go and get tested. You have to go and you do thorough laboratory diagnosis before they check and they ascertain that you are suffering from cancer. Number 2, we are having what we call fatigue. Fatigue is just like malaise, it's just like general body weakness. Unasikia tu mwili umechoka, mwili hauko sawa. So fatigue is also another symptom that contributes to, that is a symptom to cancer. Number 3, we are having what we call the lumps. By lumps here, I mean, for example, when we are trying to divide your breast into 4 quadrants, and then we start pressing from the first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, the fourth quadrant, because we are divided it into 4. the moment you feel something like, let me use Kiswahili, if you feel something like a kauvimbe, then that is what I call the lumps. But then those lumps are not necessarily, they might be tumors, and tumors, they are cancerous cells. They might either be benign, they might either be malignant, or like, so we cannot qualify and say these tumors are, you have cancer, and unless you go and then you are tested, and then they confirm that those lumps are true cancerous cells. And then lastly, we'll be adding some changes in the bladder, For example, if you're having some of these, the cervical cancer, and some of the types of cancers which will affect the reproductive system, and also changes in the bowel, the movement of the bowel also, if it changes slightly, it's also a symptom of these types of cancers.
Wow. So ukiwa na fatigue ama ukiwa na una feel hizo uvimbe, like it's haimaanishi necessarily uko na cancer. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so not that, guys. And actually, I want to ask you something else. What is the difference between a cell and a cancerous cell?
Well, I believe it's a question about the difference between a normal cell and a cancerous cell, right?
Yes.
Now, whenever we are talking about a normal cells, remember the way we defined cancer when we began, we say that cancer is just a group of diseases. And this group of diseases is normally characterized by what we call uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. Now, that's the point that I want you to pick. Uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells. So meaning cancer is just as a result of abnormal cells. Now, the normal cells are the ones which we are interested in, because these normal cells are the ones which will contribute to your survival. They contribute to the cell division, they contribute to your growth, your development, and so forth. But now these abnormal cells are the ones which will contribute to what we call now cancer. Now, the difference between all this is different because one, normal cells will tend to follow what genes tell them to do. They are listeners. They listen, and they are very good listeners. So they'll tend to follow what genes tell them to do. Remember, genes will just set down rules which needs to be followed by this particular kind of cells.
Yeah.
So now normal cells will follow these types of rules, and they will do as they are instructed by the genes. But on the other hand, the abnormal cells, they normally tend to disrespect this kind of rules. So hazitaki kusikiza hizi rules. So the normal cells zikiambiwa na the genes that now I want you to start growing from this particular time up to this particular time, you stop growing, they will listen, they will grow. By the time it gets that particular time, they will stop growing because they have been instructed to grow and stop.
Yeah.
The abnormal cells now, they don't want to listen. Whenever they are told, now I want you to start growing from this particular day, remember, they'll start growing, and when they're told to stop, they won't stop growing. They keep on growing and growing, and that's why now they keep on multiplying, and that's why they end up being abnormal cells, because they will tend to lose the shape in which they're supposed to be. They will tend to grow abnormally. So that is one of the difference between the normal cells and the abnormal cells.
Wow.
Another difference we have between the normal cells and the abnormal cells is that normal cells will tend to divide and multiply controllably, because they are controlled in a controlled manner. But the abnormal cells, they will tend to divide and multiply uncontrollably because they cannot be controlled. So they will tend to divide in large numbers and multiply without any control. Another difference we're having between the normal cells and the abnormal cells is that the normal cells will tend to die after growth. After they are mature, they have fulfilled what they're supposed to fulfill in the system, they will tend to die, and they're dying through a programmed process. And the programmed process we're talking about here is what we term as apoptosis. Apoptosis is a scientific name for programmed cell death. So normal cells will undergo apoptosis. They will die in a programmed manner. They are not just dying, but they are dying in a programmed manner because they have fulfilled what they're supposed to do in the body. They are aged. Now they are trying to be removed, to be cleared from the system so that other cells can regenerate, can grow. Abnormal cells, they won't die in that programmed manner. They tend to grow and die when they want. And lastly, normal cells will tend to remain in a localized position. For example, they tend not to be moving from one place to the other. But now the abnormal cells, they'll tend to be moving from one part of the body to the other. And that's the condition now we call the metastasis. They tend to metastasize. They move from one part, from where they have originated, now they go and then they are spread to the other parts. They go and spread to the other parts. So that's why they're abnormal, because they cannot be controlled.
Wow, daktari amesay that these terms ni ngumu sana. Something like that.
Apoptosis.
They are so hard.
They are so hard, but
so hard to
you're going to learn. I believe you're going to learn.
They are so hard. Like inafaa ufanye more research.
Yeah, you have to do research.
Yeah, and daktari, I want you to tell us, like, how does cancer start in your body? Inaanza aje?
Well, cancer will begin now when we're having a gene or a set of genes or several genes now.
Yeah.
They will tend to mutate, and once they are mutating, they'll create cancerous cells. Well, I'll try to explain by mutation. Mutation here, I mean these are the changes which normally occur when in the DNA sequence.
Yeah.
Remember, we are having what we call the DNA sequence, and also the mutation will normally arise due to some of the errors which normally occur whenever the DNA is being replicated. Remember, the DNA has to be replicated for it to be able to undergo and contribute to the normal functioning of the system, of the normal functioning of the body. Now, mutation arises during some of the errors that occur when DNA is being replicated. For example, insertions, inversions, deletions, some of those biological terms I remember you were doing in high school. I remember we had some things like that. So when we're having now these errors, now these genes, they tend to mutate. So in short, they tend to change and they create cancerous cells.
Yeah.
And now once they have created these cancerous cells, now these particular genes, the cancerous cells now, they tend to form clusters or they tend to form lumps. Now they are growing, or tumors, because now they are together. And now once they are grown together, these cancerous cells, they tend now to break, and then they break away using some of the lymphatic system or the bloodstream. Now they are moving, they are traveling in your system. Now they will travel from one part of your body to the other. Now they are trying to spread, and that is what now we term as metastasis.
Wow.
Now metastasis biologically is just the spread of these cancer cells from the point of origin to other parts of the body. If they are originated in your lungs, for example, or in your breast, I can use that as an example, they'll now tend to spread to your lungs. For example, in the case of breast cancer, we are having now the cells originating from the breast. Now some of the cells will metastasize, or they will tend to move to the part of the breast, to the part of the lungs. And now once they move to the part of the lungs, they will contribute to difficulty in breathing, because now some of the cells are growing abnormally in your lungs. Now they contribute to difficulty in breathing.
Yeah.
Another example now I can give is also the example of blood cancer. In the event we're having now blood cancer, we're having now some of these cells, they will tend to, in the bone marrow, they will tend to create what we call abnormal cells. Now these abnormal cells, they normally tend to grow uncontrollably, because now in the bone marrow we're having normal cells. Now, they were having abnormal cells being introduced also in the bone marrow. Now they tend to grow uncontrollably. And now whenever they're trying to grow uncontrollably, they'll tend to wash away the normal cells. They crowd them away. Whenever they have washed them away or crowded them away, now they tend to ni kama sasa hizo ndizo occupy now that place.
Yeah.
Now the abnormal cells zimejaa, because zimekuja zimegrow uncontrollably na zimeziweza zile normal cells zilikuwa kwa bone marrow nguvu.
Yeah.
Now they tend now to chase them away. That like chasing them away. Sasa tokeni hapa. Now we find the abnormal cells have taken up that niche or that position.
Yeah.
And then now you are having now development of that now blood cancer.
Wow. Guys, the important things that tulikuwa tunafaa kujua, thank you daktari.
You are welcome.
Tulikuwa tunafaa kujua what is cancer, the causes, the symptoms. Like literally those are the most important things unafaa kujua. So next tutakuja kuangalia the treatment, like different types of cancers. You know, cancer, you can be having a blood cancer, cervical cancer,
colorectal cancer.
Yes. You know, ziko tofauti, and we want to like go one by one, you know, and we can't just cover it within one episode or one video. So sure. And Blackie, before you leave, I have noted some questions here. Okay. You talked about a normal cell and a cancerous cell.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, or you can tell even the viewers the difference between a normal cell
and a cancerous
cell?
Well, I believe I explained it earlier on, but I'll repeat it for the benefit of our viewers.
Yeah.
Right. The normal cells are the ones which we are interested in. Now, for the abnormal cells, these are the cells which now grow uncontrollably. Now, the differences are as follows. Normal cells will tend to follow what the genes tell them to do. Like they are good listeners. No, they will tend to follow, the genes have told them now, I want you to start growing from this time up to this time. So normal cells will tend to follow that kind of instructions. Now they will grow and stop whenever they are told by genes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, abnormal cells will tend to grow uncontrollably. Now they are not good listeners, they don't follow what genes tell them. So they just grow uncontrollably and now they multiply in large numbers. That is one difference. Secondly, we're having normal cells will tend to divide and multiply in a controlled manner. On the other hand, abnormal cells will tend to divide and multiply in an uncontrolled manner. So they are not controlled. So they just tend to multiply in large numbers without any control. And thirdly, we're having the normal cells, they will tend to die in a biological term we call programmed cell death. Whenever they have grown, whenever they have aged, now they have finished the role they're supposed to play in the system, in the body. Now they have aged. Now they're supposed to die, so that other cells can regenerate, other cells can grow. So they will tend to grow. They will tend to die in a programmed manner. That is what we call apoptosis. The term that was difficult, I remember for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Now they tend to die in a controlled manner. That is apoptosis. But now for the abnormal cells, they don't tend to die in a programmed manner. They just tend to die in, I can call it in a layman's language, in any way they want.
Yeah.
And lastly, the normal cells, they tend to remain localized. They tend to localize in one place. They remain stored in one place. But now for the abnormal cells, they tend to migrate, like they are movers. They're migrating from one place to the other. So they tend of moving from one position to the other. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. And also, you've mentioned something about metastasis, right?
Yes.
Is it metastasis? Is it that way?
It is metastasis.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Metastasis.
Wow. Tell us the meaning, or rather the scientific meaning.
Well, remember when I was talking about how cancer develops, I said now this, whenever the genes have mutated, the genes will now, the cells will now tend to mutate and form cancerous cells. Now these cancerous cells, they'll try to move in line with the bloodstream or the lymphatic system from one place of the body to the other part of the body.
Yeah.
Now they are trying to metastasize. Now, by metastasis here, I mean it's just the spread of cancer cells. Now, these cancer cells are spreading from the place of origin to other parts of the body. For example, the example that I gave you in the breast cancer.
Yeah.
Now, the cancer cells are now trying to spread from your breast to your lungs, now making it difficult for you to breathe, or having what we call difficulties in breathing.
Wow.
Yes.
That was a short and a clear one. Lastly, on the term metastasis, can you give us some of the reasons why cancer metastasize?
Well, some of the reasons why cancer metastasize, we're having attack by the immune system. Whenever we're having attack by the immune system, this normally makes it hard for the immune system to be able to compromise or to be able to sustain this particular kind of cells. Now they'll tend to metastasize. So attack by the immune system is one of the reasons why cancer metastasize. Another reason is increased cell death. Now whenever we're having now increased cell death, we're having also now reasons why cancer metastasize. Whenever now we're having a large number of cells now dying, then that means probably we'll be having now high cases or high risk of now cancer metastasizing, because now other cells will be sprouting, other cells will be regenerating,
Yeah.
and now making it difficult, or making it a good environment now for this particular kind of cells to metastasize, so that they can go to go occupy that particular type of niche, and then they colonize it, and then now they start now growing uncontrollably. Now thirdly, we're having what we call, another reason we're having what we call is the large amounts of lactic acid that is normally produced. Now lactic acid is normally produced during what we call a metabolic pathway we call glycolysis. I will not explain much about that, but now glycolysis is just that pathway that will convert glucose into pyruvic or pyruvate or lactate. Now that lactic acid that is normally produced will contribute to this cancer metastasizing. Now that is why we are seeing now large amounts of lactic acid that is normally produced by this metabolic pathway. So it's also a contributor of metastasis.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I appreciate so much Miss Elizabeth for the invitation today, and I look forward, if your viewers will be having some of the questions, I'll create time and we'll be able to answer them or respond to those kind of questions. It's been pleasure hosting me here today, and I appreciate so much.
You're
So I wish you the very best,
Thank
and for the rest of the day, and for your channel, let me now talk to your viewers. Let them hit that subscription button, let them like, comment, and share.
Yeah.
See you guys, stay safe, and take care. All the best.
Bye bye. Me, I only have those 3 questions for you, only on this episode. Guys, if you have any question, kindly feel free to comment down there. Daktari will be here to answer those questions. We can even consider we do another video if you guys will have so many questions. We can consider we answer you those questions in the next video. So guys, don't forget to hit the subscription button. And Daktari, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
I appreciate
We
it.
don't take it for granted.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. See you in the next episode.